Les McCurdy, owner, comedian extraordinaire. So that was cool that you let your daughter just do her thing.
I do let her just do her thing.
That's cool. I would be so nervous.
Oh, by the way, and we can talk about that. You can turn the lights up if you like a little bit. We are now our live webcast, our interview here at McCurdys Comedy Theater. We do every week. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, viewers.
Welcome.
Anyone? And yes, my daughter did open mic, and like her third time. She's done. She is in our improv group. Because she's been doing some acting, and she had wanted to do it. She'd asked me to do it for a while, and I said, "You got to be 18 years old." And then I finally let her do it. I finally let her come to rehearsals with us when she was about 3 or 4 months from turning 18, and she was so good. Everybody in the improv troupe was like, "You got to let her do it." Well, once we started doing it, I go, "This is an uncensored." Good catch.
I know.
This is an uncensored show, and it's improv. Whatever, I can't not allow her to do anything that anybody else can do. And so we got in some scenes that were kind of bizarre.
That's cool.
You know, a little bit. And luckily, some of the other improv group wouldn't let it go any further.
Because you were here.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know, I got to treat her like everybody else and do.
This is cool, man. I like doing a webcast right after. These people were very nice.
Everybody was very nice.
Normally, this is where we just go hide in the back and go, "What happened? Did that go okay?"
I don't know.
Yeah.
Marc Ryan, ladies and gentlemen. Marc Ryan, who is with us all week this week. Originally from Louisiana, you live in Los Angeles now. Is that correct? Or are you back home?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles.
I don't know what I'm doing there, though.
Well, we'll maybe talk about that later. You grew up there. Tell us a little bit about your family. Mom, dad, brothers, sisters.
I got an older sister, and mom and dad still around.
Oh, great.
And they live in South Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. What's the town?
Baton Rouge.
Oh, okay. Not a town.
Baton Rouge, y'all know Baton Rouge?
Oh, yeah. Baton, right?
Yeah, red stick.
Red stick?
That's what it means.
Oh, I had no idea.
Baton Rouge.
Red stick.
French.
Never.
Really?
No. And as soon as you say that, I go, what an idiot. It's so obvious.
Rouge, stick of rouge.
Stick of rouge. So red stick, like lipstick.
Right.
Would be a red stick.
I don't like it. I don't know why they call it that.
No, you don't know why?
No, there was
by applause, who knew that Baton Rouge was red stick?
Red stick.
Most everybody's like me.
Right. 4 people who were like, we didn't really even give a shit when we found out.
Nobody cared. Nobody cared.
We found out and we were like, I wish I wouldn't have learned that information.
Right. So, and what does your older sister do?
She's in real estate, but she hates it.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a real estate. The market's great here. Yeah. Buy a house.
Exactly. No.
Yeah, no, she hates it. There's nobody really in comedy in my family at all, you know.
Well, and now we'll talk about that in just. I want to talk about that, but I want to know what did your dad do?
He's a real estate guy also.
Also,
yeah.
And mom, does she work or just house?
Office.
Office.
Yeah.
Office work. And so no one in your family were entertainers.
No, and they're the kind of family that are like, when is he going to grow out of this?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
you know, like when's he? Well, I mean, I'm 40 now, so I think they finally have decided that this is a real thing. You know?
I mean, you've been doing this for
20 years.
I was going to say, I thought 20 years.
Yeah. No, the first time I went up, I was 18, and took a little while after that, but then got into it pretty consistent. But the kind of parents that were like, he's going to grow out of this.
Right. And so have they seen your shows?
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing that tripped me out about your daughter is because if my parents are here, like I can't. I have material about my mom.
You change your show?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. No, I get uncomfortable.
Oh.
If my mom is there. Well, I used to have a joke about how my mom and dad were drunks and they would get in fights, which is all made up. But then you do that, and you do it with conviction, like it's your real life story.
Absolutely.
But they would come out and be like, "That's not true. We didn't get in fights over the game Family Feud and flip the table
And so you if your mom and dad are in the audience like tonight, would they have seen the show that we saw?
Let me look at my set list. Well, what? Well, I didn't do a joke about how sometimes if you get your own stuff on your own face. I didn't do that, but I wouldn't have done that if I would have done it.
You got pretty close to that.
Yeah.
I mean, you got your own stuff on other people's faces.
I got it on. I shot it across
over
the
the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm saying. When you're young, you got the juice.
Right. But
there's some things, like I make fun of my mom, how she's on the internet. Now I would do that if she was here.
You would?
Yeah, because that's just funny that But she said the same thing. She grew up in the '60s also.
But the show that people saw tonight wouldn't have changed much.
I might not do the thing about how I wish my wiener was a healing wand.
Okay.
But I mean, it is just a fun, silly thought.
Well, of course it is.
But it's just like, what else could this do? But when in front of your mom, you feel like your mom's sitting in the audience going.
I remember when I first had my family members come, and that's odd to say. When I first had my family members
that was a
arrive
weird
at the show.
Phrasing of the.
But
I didn't like it.
And that's always kind of a thing. But my dad's very open-minded. My mother passed away before I started doing comedy, but it was when my grandmother and my aunt, who is a wonderful woman, very religious, came to see the show. And they came to a damn Friday late show. Oh shit, why?
Oh, shit.
You know what I mean? And we were doing a lot of improvisation, so things just happened.
Well, I don't know. Do they know what the Friday late show means?
Friday late show is generally the wildest. It's the most unruly crowd as a general rule. The famous statement is by Steve Martin when he's being interviewed by Johnny Carson, and Johnny says, "Why don't you do stand-up comedy anymore?" And he said, "Friday late shows." Because that is generally, the crowd they've been working all day, they've gotten off work, they start drinking immediately, and by the time that 9:30 or in some cities 10 o'clock show pops up, they're already drunk, and by the time the headliner gets on stage, they don't know where they're at. Yeah, they don't give a shit. Yeah. And you're just babysitting drunks is what you're doing.
Yeah, this is a different crowd than the crowd that comes. This is This crowd wouldn't be out on the late night Friday night, right?
Somewhat. How many people by applause would be out after 9:30 on it? So some of y'all would.
You liars.
But you would be drunk too. Probably. But they came to that show, and there was a lot of profanity and
wild. Yeah.
And well, the thing was, I tell you, Mark, I was like, I've got to forget that they're there. I know they're there, but it's not fair to the audience that I change my show because they're there. I guess got to go. And did. And after the show was over with, they're standing there, and we thought it was really funny, and da-da-da-da. I said, well, I was worried about a lot of the profanity. And my grandmother goes, we've been doing it longer than you've been saying it. I said, well, I guess
I like that.
So. I guess.
That's how my mama was.
Yes?
I used to talk about her in the show, and she came to one of my shows, and she was in her early 90s. I was like right over here somewhere, and I would talk about how we would have real conversations, which we did, about life and sex and romance, which is great to talk about that with your mama until you realize she's getting more ass than you. So that was the joke, and when I would tell that joke, she would stand up and do one of these. And I love that.
Testify.
I love that. Yeah.
Testify. You did you go to college?
Yeah, LSU.
LSU.
Nobody's ever asked me that in 20 years of doing comedy. Nobody's ever given a shit.
Yes. And your major was?
General studies.
General studies.
Yeah, that takes it down a notch, doesn't it?
What
I went to college.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Right. I just kind of generally studied. No, I was like a theater major, but you had to learn a language. And so, yeah, I was like, screw that. Major. That's too hard.
Did you get a degree?
I did. I got a degree, but I switched it up from the art theater major to a general and had a bunch of minors, psychology and sociology. And
So when you came out of LSU, when you finished up there, what was that first year out of college?
oh man, first year out of college, I worked on a radio station.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my only real job.
As a broadcaster? Or?
Yeah, like
Yes.
where a corporate, where you had to go in and listen to somebody talk about how shitty you did your job.
Yes.
I'm not used to that. Here, if it's going shitty, we know the audience tells you.
Oh, yeah.
But then even if you're doing a good job at a corporate job, you don't know because it's just that one guy's shitty opinion sitting you down. Here's how awful you were on the air today.
And in radio back then, if it was like, and I did a little bit of radio, it was so structured. I mean, you had to play, they had color charts, I remember. And you had to play exactly, you had almost no choice in the music you played and really what you said too much. There was very little creativity.
It was not a good place for me because it's fun to be up here and just go with whatever's in your mind and at the moment, just go with it. And you can't do that on the radio.
No.
Because I would do dumb shit like, let's get some of the water jugs that they have in the hallway and throw them off of this 5-story building for the radio. Why would I even do that? That's a visual thing for the radio. But I would come up with shit like that, and the people I was working for would be like, no, that's not what we're going to do.
So radio for how long?
About 6 months till they fired me.
And then where'd you go?
Started doing this.
Oh, did you? Okay, so where did you first do an open mic night?
In the Funny Bone in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I would do just like they have here, come up and do the open mic and just. Oh, and what killed me is like when Andre had all his stuff. Like I used to do that kind of stuff too.
Right.
I would have like, props or things that you bring up.
Me too.
And then when you look back, you think, what the fuck was I thinking? I was going to travel around to the country with 2 pillows for the rest of my life? No, you can't do that. But I used to do dumb shit. Like one time I had this joke where I don't even remember what the idea of the joke was, but I had filled my pockets with pennies, full of change. But the joke was that I was going to go like this, And one night I did it like too hard. And I threw fucking pennies out into the crowd. Hard. And people were like, what is the, whoa. But that's the kind of dumb shit when you're young. You're like, I'll be the guy that throws pennies.
Sure. Well, when I first started, we were in a comedy team, Ken Sons and I, and we literally would show up to do 20 minutes of material with 2 duffel bags full of shit. Yeah. Because we didn't have jokes. And we used to sit and watch. The guy that was on Barney Miller, the really dry. Stephen Landisberg. We used to watch Stephen Landisberg, and we watch him, and that son of a bitch would stand still and not break a sweat. We go, one day we'll be that good. We're gonna drag all this shit around with us. But now you came, you went out of the radio, you went right into stand-up comedy, but you're not making money for a while.
No, I'm still not making money.
So what did you do during that period of time to make money? Until you got to the point where comedy was making your money.
Well, and some people are laughing, but I'm still not making money at this. But no, when you're young, and when I was in my 20s and 30s, you don't have to make any money. You live in a shitty apartment and...
We gotta make some money.
Yeah, but just enough to get by, and you're okay with that.
So like waiting tables, bartending, that's what I did.
Yeah, just enough. I would make enough money doing stand-up just to make it, just to get by. So you just live cheap is the answer.
You're answering these questions much like a politician.
I know.
It's like, I feel like you did something illegal during
I did. I did some Breaking Bad shit. I was cooking meth on the side. No, I just had no bills when I was younger. But that's, you can't entice women that way when you bring them over to your shit shack and you're...
No.
Look here, I'm not making money. But then at 40, it's even more difficult because women want stuff.
Exactly. So
Insecurity.
We're kind of leaping forward.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for 20 years. You've been out there. You've traveled all over. You've played the shitty gigs and the good gigs, and you probably still do a little bit of both of those at times, but less shitty gigs. Correct?
Yeah. No shitty gigs at all.
No shitty gigs. Is this a shitty gig? No, it's not a shitty gig.
No, I just saw a window. You set me up.
I know. And you're out in Los Angeles.
I do some. This is not. This is a really fun gig. Actually, I do some really shitty gigs still.
They're just
you
to
never
make
get
a paycheck.
past that. You never get past. I mean, even if you watch the movie Seinfeld made about being a comedian, wasn't it called?
Yeah.
I mean, you even see guys like that struggle at his level. You know, I mean, after they get over the fact that it's Seinfeld, 15 minutes in or whatever, when he's trying new things, it's still.
Except for he's a multimillionaire.
Yeah. So
That
when
helps.
he goes home,
that helps the shitty gig.
on his private jet, it's not as shitty.
Not nearly as shitty.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not nearly as shitty.
Yeah.
But now in Los Angeles, you're there. You're in corporate headquarters.
Yeah.
And that's where it is. And you've gotten yourself on some television shows. And let's talk a little bit about how just in the past 10 years, the media has opened up because of the internet and a million different channels, and you know and those channels can be viewed not just on a television but on all of the devices that are in front of us. How are you approaching utilizing all of that to take yourself to another level?
Well, when we started, or when I started, there wasn't any of that. So it was all about the hustle in the club, is get your act as good as it is. But now people check out a lot of this stuff online. So it's now, like you're saying, you have to not only have your act good and right and get this thing polished, but you have to be putting out a web series like we're doing here, or a podcast, a blog. You have to be putting out YouTube videos. You have to do all that stuff. So I do anything and everything. I have YouTube series. I'm about to put out one based on the joke I did tonight about wanting to express my blackness. Do you guys remember that joke? I have a new series coming out called Blacked Out, where whenever I get challenged by asshole customer service people, I turn into a black person. And so at the DMV, whenever I get mishandled at the DMV, I turn into a big black comedian named Drew Thomas. He's like 6'2", and he gets shit handled. I want my fucking license, So that's really, it's based on the act, which we would have never done years ago, but now I'll take, parts of the act and then turn it into a YouTube video. So yeah, you have to, or else you get left behind, because that's how people are getting notoriety and attention these days.
Absolutely. And now the television show that you're doing on the Outdoor channel.
I'm doing a new show. Actually, I'm doing one right now that people can catch called Mudslingers, where I'll go out into the mud parks. That's very popular here, actually, in South Florida. You guys know about the mud parks with the guys with the swamp buggies? Yeah. You've hung out with those dirty swamp buggy guys? These things are ridiculous. Have you seen these? They put $250,000 into it. Oh. So that was that show, but I'm about to do a new one. Basically, it's Tosh.0 for the outdoor crowd, outdoor channel. Okay. So it'll be like hunters and fishermen and people eating it on four-wheelers and stuff like that, and we'll make fun of it. It's a clip show. So that'll be coming out in the first part of next year on Outdoor Channel.
I'm going to back up a little bit. Since you became a headliner and had done it for a while and got to that point where you were really confident and secure on stage.
I did that?
Yep, at some point in time.
Yeah.
Where was there a point where you just like, I feel like I can pretty much handle any situation, and then got into a situation which really made you nervous and was really awkward? Was there one?
Yeah, and that's interesting you put it like that, because no matter how many times you do this, there's always a new weird situation that could come out of,
yes.
the crowd, or, I've had people pass out on the stage, walk up and talk shit and pass out. So, yes, absolutely. All those experiences still happen. That's a politician answer, I know.
Is there one in particular that kind of like, is that moment where you just thought, oh, I got it together? For me, I answer as you're thinking. For me, I'd been headlining for about 3 years, and I really felt great confidence in what I was doing, and I got booked at a club in Montreal. That's a small club up there, but it's really well known, and several friends of mine had played it, and they recommended me, and I knew, I felt that I was as good as them, and they'd been there many times, and I went there, and I literally walked on that stage, and the first 5 minutes, which I got zero laughs. That audience stared at me and gave me nothing. And then I give 5 more minutes, and this is 10 minutes of my best shit.
That's weird.
Nothing. Zero.
Yeah.
Then I decided, just tell a joke, you know, because usually lots of times you can just tell a joke and break the ice. Just
Classic
a joke, just a classic joke. I told a joke and they booed. They booed as hard as they could boo.
Oh, shit.
The audacity that I would come to Montreal as a headline comedian and tell a street joke. They booed. Now I'm 15 minutes into a 45-minute set.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean? And that shook me to the core when you thought you were really ready.
I'm uncomfortable just hearing the story.
You didn't have one of those?
I usually am perfect on stage.
All right.
No, yes, that's... You know what, my toughest onesie at this stage, because you can, at this many years in, you can survive just about anything, but it still is difficult to survive. Yes. It's still a process. I mean, just last week I was in Atlanta, and for whatever reason there was something going on, and there was 8 people. This is a good crowd. This is a good-sized crowd. So not everybody in here has to like me, right? If 75% of you guys like me, I'm doing pretty damn good. So there's 25% of you can sit there going, well, this is a bullshit part of the show. And it's okay, but when 8 people are there and 25% of them don't like you, you're fucked.
Yeah. And you know what gets me on that when you why would they do a show for 8 people? That is the most ridiculous thing. It is economically ridiculous, and that was something that we learned early on. Our standard is if there's not close to 50 people, we won't do a show. And the reason is it's not fair to you, it's not fair to the comic, and I'm opening my doors to lose money. You know, it's like if I'm only going to have 8 people show up, I should have them come in, hand them all $50. You know, go have fun, because that's what just happened. I just lost that much money by having the show on.
You can send them to the hotel. I'll just do the show.
Yeah, fuck it.
There.
Yeah, let's all sit down. They can come back tomorrow night. I'd like to, I've got one more question for Marc, but I'd like to open it up to the audience if anybody here has a question about Marc's show. Yes, or about anything about comedy.
Well, I thought he was great. Great Marc. Loved it.
But, here comes the but.
What?
The question is, how much of it did you ad-lib? It was great.
Oh, cool. That's a good question. I'd say about 25%. Yes, there was a lot of it, but you know, when I'm talking to people, obviously that's in the moment. Oh, good. That's the illusion that you want, right?
Yes.
When you say?
Yes. The illusion is that you want it to look that way.
Yeah, you want it to look that way. You want it to look in the moment, which is more interesting than being barked at a set, I think. You know, when somebody gets up here and is just performing, you can feel that.
And I think that's a big difference. There's great structure in what we do, and when you teach it, that's what people are always amazed with, because it looks like there's not structure if it's done really, really well. But there's great structure there, and when you have a great structure and foundation, then you can go off of it. But the generation before us had total structure.
Yes.
It was total joke, joke, joke. You know, you could see the structure. You could totally see the structure in the comedians that we watched growing up, the Jack Benny's and the Don Rickles and the Buddy Hackett's, and you could see the structure. But our generation went away from that, and so that's a great compliment.
Yeah, if you in Hollywood, if you do a guest set around town, if you do your road set, they eat your ass alive. They don't budge. They don't give you anything. They just look at you like you're just doing your hacky ass joke. But if you're talking to them and interacting with them and making it look like it's coming off the cuff, then they love it. So it's really difficult out there as far as that goes.
Anything else? Any other questions? Yes.
Outdoor channel for the redneck shows. Yes, probably. That's why I'm not hugely famous, because that's the answer.
Do we get that channel?
Do we get that channel? And then the other one was on HD Net and is still on. And it's now called Access TV, and it's in its 3rd season. I was just on the 1st season,
which we do get too, depending on your package.
And we did come down here to South Florida and made an episode. Oh. I know I went to some vodka plant that you guys have here. It's like the biggest vodka plant. It's down here somewhere. It's like y'all make like out of oranges. Yeah, it's like one of the biggest vodka plants. They supply you know, to a lot of the companies.
Tropicana. Pulp or no pulp. Another question? Anything? Anything? Last question, and I ask all the comics this. What's the great bit you haven't written, if there is one? And when I ask that is there something in your that you've thought about that maybe is something that's in your personal life, or maybe some social issue that you're very passionate about, negatively or positively, that you go, ooh, I would just love, I haven't written it, I'd love to write a bit about that to enlighten people about it, maybe be an inspirational piece, or to, you know, to trash it because it pisses me off.
Well, I don't know anything about politics or social stuff because I'm just not educated. So it wouldn't be about that. It would be, you know what, I would love to be able to break the boundaries of, I don't know if you guys are familiar with a really popular comic right now is Louis C.K. And what I like about him, and a lot of young comics like about him, is he kind of crosses that line and talks about very vulnerable, personal things that you would be typically embarrassed to talk about in public or in a forum like this. And even me, you know, like I talk about some pretty raunchy things, but I would love to talk more about, you know, just really personal sexual things or
in the
family things.
Where you get closest to that, I thought tonight in your show, is when you talk about death.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is a subject that is, you would go, that's a touchy subject to make funny.
It is.
But it's also a great subject to make funny, because we're all going to do it.
What's weird about the death subject is I have 3 CDs out now, and for whatever reason, it must be fascinating to me because on every CD I have some chunk about death. I have, you know, I've had bits about buying caskets before this one, you know, about how awkward it is. As a matter of fact, one of the young comics,
Owen, first time up,
had a line that I liked that reminded me of that my kind of feeling when I went to buy a casket for my grandfather. They were very much like a car salesman and very much like cheesy about how can we get you in this today. So I like that. I thought that was funny.
Did you raise your hand? Oh, no, okay.
No, I don't want to say
Great.
shit.
No. Last question? Yeah?
Well, the part you left out about that was like donating.
Donating your body to science. Yeah, that is an option because I have had people say that and it threw me off because I've always just assumed it's casket or cremation.
If you're gonna burn or bury, like
You can still do that. Yeah.
so you might just add that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, that's another one that.
Hey, as a comedian, donating your body and letting a bunch of medical students just goof around with it.
I like that.
I think we should all be required to.
I was just commenting on, I think Louis had a great bit about wanting to get a young guy's penis or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I get royalties for that.
Thanks.
It's already been done. I can't write. The man wrote it better than me.
Marc Ryan, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Marc will be right back there. You can take off and set up your
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
You want? Stay. Marc will be with us through Sunday night. He and I will be on 107.9 with David and Christina tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.